with the deck also. Deck. So very good afternoon to all and welcome all to today's session. I'm sure my voice is audible. Just type yes on the chat box. अगर मेरी वॉइस सुनाई दे रही है एंड स्क्रीन विजिबल है सो जस्ट टाइप यस ऑन द चैट बॉक्स. I'm sure my voice is audible. So thank you so much for the confirmation. Now let's begin the session on the technical analysis chapter 6, important indicators. Now in this particular session we're going to cover like some of the most important indicators that matter in the technical analysis. But before going to the technical analysis, let's look at the market today. The market is right now at the 23,300 23,221 is the Nifty 50 right now, and the open was 23,277, the high was 23,292, and the low is 23,100. So right now the market is also in the consolidated stage, and talking about the bank Nifty, it is trading around this 48,570 and the open was 48,959. So मोटा मोटा अभी तक 400 पॉइंट्स का मोमेंट है बैंक निफ्टी में. Now coming back to the technical analysis session, that is we have now let's do some of the recap that what we have already covered it. So those who have missed this session earlier, so you can go into our this YouTube and you can type this access securities, and under the live section you can view all our this session that we have already covered, and that is about like the technical analysis, about the OHLC, that about the important chart types, about the bar chart, candlestick, trend analysis, single candlesticks, hammer candlesticks. So ये सारे sessions अभी तक हम लोगों ने पूरा cover up कर लिया है, and means now today we'll be means doing the other sessions. Now the quick recap on the previous sessions that what we have done it, that is जो हम लोग का last Friday को हुआ था, that is every Friday at 2:30 p.m. we conduct the technical analysis sessions. So every Monday to Friday we release the concept that is technical analysis होता क्या है, and then on Friday we take all those things and consolidate it in the webinar so that you can get the overview कि that हाँ एक indicators को कैसे देखना चाहिए या फिर technical analysis को कैसे देखना चाहिए. Now last week that what we have covered, that is about like the moving average indicator, then the simple moving average we have covered it, and then about the exponential moving average we have covered it, and moving average का हमने ग्राफ दिखाया था कि कैसे moving average plot करते हैं and how you have to look out the EMA and SMA. उसमें बहुत सारी queries भी आई थी कि that moving average कैसे like use करते हैं, intraday में कैसे use करते हैं. So I request everyone like to go and you can watch our this YouTube session, and you can get the gist of this moving average. In case you have any queries, anything, then you can directly put in the chat box also. Now we have covered as the moving average support and resistance, then the moving average crossover, then we lastly covered about the Bollinger Bands. So Bollinger Bands हम लोगों ने दिखाया था कि Bollinger Bands कैसे बनता है, and how you have to take the analysis out of it कि that upper band क्या होता है, lower band क्या होता है, and basis on that how you have to take the informed decisions. Now this was the about like the Bollinger Band example that we have covered it. Now important indicators that we'll be covering today. So I request my colleague Karan Pai to share his screen, and Karan is a research analyst, and he is taking all the webinars on the Nifty 50 and about the market outlook and about the technical analysis. So he will be walking you through about the important indicators that you one have to follow if you are I mean trading into the market. So Karan, all over to you now.
या थैंक यू फॉर दैट इंट्रोडक्शन रोहित. सो शुरू करने से पहले मुझे एक जानना है कि आज तक हम लोगों ने जितने भी वेबिनार्स किए हैं, अगर उसके रिलेटेड अगर आपको कुछ क्वेरी है सो प्लीज़ पुट इट इन द चैट बॉक्स. यूट्यूब लाइव पर जो है उसमें आप चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हो, जो वेबएक्स में कनेक्टेड है उसमें भी आप चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हो, सो दैट बिफोर स्टार्टिंग विद सम न्यू कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपके पुराने कॉन्सेप्ट जो है वो क्लियर रहेंगे. So I just will quickly run you through what we'll be covering today. So we have actually started on technical indicators. सो इंडिकेटर्स ये क्या है, इसका हम लोगों ने कॉन्सेप्ट आपको बेसिकली एक्सप्लेन किया था थ्रू आर कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ द डे. सो हमारा सबसे पहले आज का इंडिकेटर होगा RSI, विच इज़ वेरी कॉमनली यूज, देन द स्टोकेस्टिक्स इंडिकेटर, देन यू हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मैकडी, जिसे कॉमनली बोलते हैं मैकडी. सो इट्स कॉल्ड MACD और मूविंग एवरेज कन्वर्जेंस डाइवर्जेंस. एंड then comes our ADX, directional index. सो ये चार इंडिकेटर्स हम लोग कवर करेंगे बिकॉज ये वीक हम लोगों ने चार ही रिलीज किए हैं. सो बिफोर गेटिंग इनटू टेक्निकल इंडिकेटर्स, आई जस्ट वांट टू नो फ्रॉम यू गाइस कि how has been your journey till date when it comes to the indicators or when it comes to the webinars part. Has it been good, has it been helpful? एंड सेकेंडली आई वांट टू नो कि अगर आपको डिलीवरी में या जो भले वो कंटेंट हो या हमारे वेबिनार्स हो उसमें कुछ आपको चेंजेस आप अगर सजेस्ट करो तो दैट इज ऑल्सो वी आर ओपन टू चेंजेस. एंड अभी तक हम लोगों ने जितने भी टॉपिक्स कवर किए हैं, आई जस्ट वांट टू नो कि उसके रिलेटेड आपको कुछ क्वेरी है, कुछ डाउट है. Put it in the chat box. We'll wait for a minute or two, and then we'll start with the new topics. We are people have just joined us. We are taking a quick recap on हमारे पुराने जो भी concept of the day हैं उसमें अगर किसी को कुछ query है, कुछ पूछना है, तो वो हम लोग अभी फिलहाल कवर कर रहे हैं. Okay, looks like people don't have any query. So we'll start off with what is RSI. So by the name Relative Strength Index, what do you think RSI basically does? If you have gone through the concept of the day that we have explained, आप एक बार आप मुझे बता सकते हो कि RSI बेसिकली करता क्या है? Now because we have explained the concept in pretty fair enough detail is what I would say. We'll be quickly going on to the practical examples. So charts पर मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा and we'll switch to something like Reliance Industries. Yeah. Okay. So basically RSI is a momentum tool. Momentum अब किसे कहते हैं? Say for example ये down move है. अभी यहाँ पर मुझे देखना है कि if there is strength, not exactly strength, अगर pace है ये down move में या अगर up move है उसमें pace है, तो that is what we find out in RSI. Now I'm not going to dig deep into the calculations, the formulas and all those things because वो हमारे जो PDF है उसमें already mentioned किया हुआ है and you also might have access to the PDF under Goodreads and so what I'll be doing is taking you through the practical application of RSI. अभी there is this up move, there is this down move. ये down move अगर आप देख सकते हो, there is clear downtrend in the RSI. But look at this down move. RSI थोड़ा flat है. So what does this basically mean कि अगर मैं close to close देखूं या when I compare the close of one day to the past few sessions, आप देख सकते हो कि there is momentum build up on the downside. So आपका जो RSI line है वो consistently नीचे जा रहा है. यहाँ पर कैसा है कि the moves are a bit choppy. एक दिन नीचे open नीचे close होता है, then there is a gap up, then there is down, then there is some consolidation. So basically it lacks momentum. मोमेंटम कब होता है, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला, सो आई विल एक्सप्लेन दिस टू यू. सो विल टेक द क्लासिक एग्जांपल ऑफ गोइंग फ्रॉम सीएसटी टू थाने. करेक्ट. अगर आपको वो पूरे जर्नी में आपको ट्रैफिक मिलता है, देन यू डोंट हैव मोमेंटम. बट अगर
So CST to Thane, like those who are not from Mumbai, so there is a station that is called CST and Thane, which is I think like approximately 40 kilometers will be away from each other.
या सो बेसिकली आपको पॉइंट ए से पॉइंट बी जाना है, and you are going by say a car, correct? So and you are not able to drive beyond 10 kilometers per hour, then you have momentum but you don't have enough momentum to cover that journey fast. But if you are able to do it at say 80 kilometers per hour, then you have enough momentum, तो आपको जो time required लगेगा that will be less. So basically the speed or the rate at which the market is falling, that is something that the RSI looks at. Now again this is a very crude example, but basically अगर मुझे layman language में explain करना है, then this is what I would explain. तो RSI को हम लोग interpret कैसे करते हैं? So एक common because RSI is something called as a bounded indicator. Bounded indicator मतलब there is an upper bound of 100, there is a lower bound of 0. So it can move in between 100 and 0. करेक्ट. सो अगर ये 100 जाएगा, 100 के ऊपर इसके वैल्यूज एकदम ही एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी कंडीशंस में जाएंगे व्हेन द मैथमेटिकल फॉर्मूलाज जो हम लोग अप्लाई करते हैं उसमें दे गो कंप्लीटली ओवरबोर्ड. सो देयर आर इंस्टेंसेस जहाँ पे ये होता है, देयर आर इंस्टेंसेस व्हेन इट फॉल्स बिलो जीरो, बट बहुत ही ब्लैक स्वॉन इवेंट्स होते हैं. ब्लैक स्वॉन इवेंट्स, नाउ swans are normally white. Black swan is something that you find once in a blue moon. Same thing with albino crows. But then again होता कैसा है कि whenever there is momentum, whenever there is lack of momentum, whenever there is momentum, your RSI will trend in the direction of that trend. Trend मतलब move in the direction of the trend. So if there is an up move, if there is a momentum build up, your RSI will also go up. But if there is a down move, जैसे ये सिचुएशन में है जो हम लोग रिलायंस के डेली चार्ट पर देख रहे हैं, if it is falling and the RSI is not going anywhere, मतलब there is a bit of lack of momentum here. So RSI को अभी हम लोग इंटरप्रेट कैसे करते हैं? Because it's a bounded indicator and moves between 100 and 0, we call it something called as a oscillator. Why? Because it oscillates between 100 and 0. Oscillation अगर आपको पता होगा, it goes from one point to another and back to the old point. One point, old point. So 100 0, 100 0. So that is how it moves. अभी some people, just a minute. या सो अभी RSI इंटरप्रेट करने का कॉमन तरीका क्या है? सो पीपल नॉर्मली कंसिडर दैट RSI अबाउ 70 इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी ओवरबॉट, कि मतलब बहुत ही ज्यादा ओवरबॉट हो गया एक पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक, या बहुत ही ज्यादा रैली हो गई है इसमें. RSI बिलो 30 इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी ओवरसोल्ड, मतलब इसमें बहुत ज्यादा सेल ऑफ आया है. सो दैट इज हाउ RSI इज नॉर्मली इंटरप्रेटेड. बट देन आई विल टेल यू वन थिंग. सो अगर आप ट्रेंड देखोगे या अगर मोमेंटम देखोगे, या इफ यू जस्ट पिक अप एनी बुक दैट मेंशंस RSI, they all will tell you the same thing. In a trending market, overbought will remain overbought for a while. Why? Because overbought में है मतलब क्या है कि there is momentum build up रहा है, and अगर फिर भी momentum up move continue हो रहा है, उसमें momentum continue हो रहा है, then it is going to remain in that overbought territory. So this is where you come in. This is where something like a range shift is introduced. रेंज शिफ्ट क्या बोलता है RSI का? बेसिकली RSI यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो कि इट इज ऑसिलेटिंग बिटवीन 0 and 100, बट देन देर आर फेसेस लाइक दीज जहाँ पे RSI इनिशियली वाज ऑसिलेटिंग बिटवीन से 50 and 20, and then once the prices break above a particular level, then it oscillates between 50 and 100, या 50 and 80. So this is basically called a range shift. So range यहाँ पर अगर आप देख सकते हो consistently since 14th of December all the way to 3rd of April, correct, RSI was between 50 and 20, 50 and 20 के बीच में ही चल रहा था, consistently चल रहा था 50 and 20 के बीच में. And once it went above 50, उसको ट्रेड करने के भी कई तरीके होते हैं. सो वन डिस्क्लेमर दैट आई वुड लाइक टू पुट आउट इज व्हाटएवर आई एम डिस्कसिंग हियर इज स्ट्रिक्टली फॉर एजुकेशनल पर्पस, एंड अगर आप कुछ भी स्ट्रैटेजी या कुछ भी अगर आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो, देन यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट यू डू योर बैक टेस्टिंग एंड यू डू इट एट योर ओन रिस्क. सो यहाँ पर अगर आप देखो तो RSI जब भी 50 के ऊपर गया, यू नो दैट द मार्केट इज ट्रेंडिंग and the trend has continued all the way from 27th of March 2023 to 21st of July 2023. So that's a decent up move from whatever level चलो से 1000 से लेके it went all the way up to 1300. So that's a decent up move that we saw in the underlying. The underlying मतलब यहाँ पर Reliance Industries के stock में. And then you had the RSI that was actually oscillating between 50 and 30, now moved to 50 and 80 on the upside. और चलो for the most part it was between 50 and 70. But that clearly says कि आपका momentum build up है. So remember the term overbought will remain overbought for a while when the market is trending. This is exactly what we mean. So overbought can continue to remain overbought. So at no point in any of the books, unless and until it's some YouTube influencer that you're following, will say कि आप RSI 80 गया तो आप बेच दो, RSI 30 गया तो purchase करो. Any person with a sound knowledge of technicals is going to tell you that RSI at 70 is invariably not considered as an overbought condition if the market is trending. It just means that there is momentum, and if you are looking to either square off your position or create fresh shorts, which is possible only through FNO, then you have to look for reversals. आप इसीलिए कोई भी इंडिकेटर को स्टैंड अलोन यूज नहीं कर सकते हो. So you have to mix it with other technical tools or indicators or other techniques of analysis. So यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे it can be anything, it can be candle patterns and उसके साथ आप से Bollinger Band लगा दो या moving average crossovers लगा दो, anything, but then it cannot be, any technical indicator for that matter cannot be used as a standalone tool for your analysis.
I think that this is one of the most important thing that is Karan mentioned that क्या होता है कि हम लोग जो YouTube influencers को देखते हैं या we look out other I means people like who are stating that कि अगर 70 या 80 के ऊपर गया then you need to sell it off, but you have to understand the real meaning of the RSI, that why RSI tool is needed if you are investing or trading into the stocks and how it is beneficial actually.
या सो जैसे मैं हमारे हर वेबिनार में बोलता हूँ कि अगर आप कुछ भी टेक्निकल टूल या कुछ भी इंडिकेटर अगर आप यूज कर रहे हो, मेक श्योर यू नो द बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इट. अगर आपको कॉन्सेप्ट पता नहीं है एंड देन यू आर जस्ट थ्रोइंग डार्ट्स इन द डार्क, then that is going to be a problem, and it's going to be a big problem unless and until you unlearn what you have learned earlier. So that covers RSI, and RSI में अगर आप देखोगे invariably there is also called there is something called as an average. So RSI का जब भी आप I think it is basically commonly used average is 9 period, but then again it can be customized to your requirement. So for example RSI अगर आप देखोगे in general it is calculated for 14 period. But then there are people who calculate RSI probably for 5 period. मतलब पिछले 5 दिनों का वो देखेंगे कि मोमेंटम क्या है, या आज का जो मोमेंटम है is it higher than the momentum that we have seen in the past 5 days. So periodicity is quite मतलब it's quite flexible. You can keep tweaking it to meet your requirements. Now when will you tweak it? अगर आपको उसके पीछे का लॉजिक पता है, only then you will tweak it. Otherwise you will just stick to the default parameters. अभी इसे ट्वीक करना देयर इज अनदर पिटफॉल टू ट्वीकिंग इट. सो एक हो सकता है कि से यू आर गुड विद पाइथन एंड यू आर गुड विद बैक टेस्टिंग एंड आपने कोई एक कोड ऐसे रन कर दिया जो आप रिलायंस पर देखते हो, एंड यू आस्क द कोड टू चेक कि बेस्ट पॉसिबल फिट क्या है RSI का, देन दैट इज बेसिकली कर्व फिटिंग. मतलब आप यू आर ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट I don't know how to put this. So to find out a perfect human being, which is just not possible. So you have to make sure कि whatever you are searching for, it suits you, it's logical. Only then apply custom time frames to RSI. एंड RSI का एक और द कॉमन फिनोमिना इज ये 50 पर अगर आप देखोगे देयर इज अ हाईलाइट, सो दैट इज बेसिकली द सेंटर लाइन. सो देयर इज आल्सो एन असम्पशन दैट व्हेनेवर RSI गोज अबव 50 बुलिश मोमेंटम स्टार्ट होता है, व्हेनेवर RSI ड्रॉप्स बिलो 50 बुलिश मोमेंटम ड्रॉप होता है, व्हिच टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट इज समथिंग दैट आई एग्री टू. बट ये जो 30 एंड 70 का जो बाउंड्स है, ओवरबॉट ओवरसोल्ड का जो बाउंड्स है, दैट इज काइंड ऑफ अ मिथ. एंड एक्चुअली we also have data that suggests otherwise as to why 30 and 70 should not be used as a proper overbought and oversold zone. But then it is a bit beyond the purview of these webinars, and approvals milna was a task. So we did not put up mathematical numbers as to why you should not do it. But nonetheless, years of experience within the team, we have realized that ये जो ओवरबॉट एंड ओवरसोल्ड का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, दैट इज बेसिकली मिसगाइडिंग. सो देन यू हैव समथिंग कॉल्ड एज डाइवर्जेंस. अभी डाइवर्जेंस कब होता है? नाउ डाइवर्जेंस इज समथिंग दैट आई हैव ऑलवेज मेंशन्ड इन मोस्ट ऑफ आवर वेबिनार्स. सो डाइवर्जेंस कब होता है? व्हेन से ये लो आपका बन गया एंड ये लो आपका बन गया, तो यू सी अ न्यू लो बीइंग फॉर्म्ड, but then your RSI is showing that though a new low is formed, the momentum buildup is not there. So basically आपको ये बोलना है कि ये जो डाउन मूव था, there was momentum present, then there was a bit of up move and then there was again a down move, but वो डाउन मूव में मोमेंटम उतना नहीं था जितने प्रीवियस मूव में था. सो इट बेसिकली शोज कि जो डाउन मूव है उसमें कहीं ना कहीं स्ट्रेंथ जो है वो मिसिंग है. सो दिस इज अनदर वे ऑफ इंटरप्रेटिंग वेदर अ पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक का मोमेंटम इज एग्जॉस्टिंग, एंड इफ इट इज एग्जॉस्टिंग मतलब क्या, डाउन मूव में देर इज lack of, either it could be participation or because of whatever reasons it is lacking momentum, मतलब people are not very confident that ये move sustain करेगा. So that is another, it's considered to be a bullish it's not exactly a signal, it is basically a hint that probably the bears are exhausted or the bulls are now taking control. But again, take it with a pinch of salt because everything has another side to it. सो सेम थिंग, जैसे हम लोगों ने बुलिश मोमेंट सॉरी बेरिश बुलिश डाइवर्जेंस देखा, देयर इज ऑल्सो बेरिश डाइवर्जेंस जहां पे एक हाई बन जाता है, द आरएसआई वाज ट्रेंडिंग एंड देन देयर इज अ डाउन मूव एंड देन द नेक्स्ट हाई इज देयर. नेक्स्ट हाई इज probably higher than the previous high, but then your RSI is showing lack of momentum in that up move, and that is when it basically signals that the bulls are either tired or any of those situations. Now we'll move on to something called as stochastics. Now आप ये किसी भी वेबिनार में मैं आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट द फॉर्मूलाज एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स बिकॉज वी ऑलरेडी हैव शेयर्ड द पीडीएफ जहाँ पे आप फॉर्मूलाज वगैरह देख सकते हो. सो RSI and stochastics both are momentum indicators. The only difference is stochastics, from what I have found, is that stochastics is a bit more responsive when it comes to RSI, and the reason is because of the formula जो हम लोग डालते हैं उसमें. बट इसका भी यूज केस इज वेरी सिमिलर. यहाँ पर द बाउंड्स आर अ बिट मोर फ्लेक्सिबल. सो यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे इट इज 80 एंड 20. या यहाँ पर अगर आप बाउंड्स देखोगे इट इज 80 एंड 20. And again, just like RSI, one thing that I would like to say is कि just because आपका stochastics 80 पर चला गया, you don't initiate a short position or you don't cover your long positions. Same thing with अगर आपके short positions है, just because RSI 20 चला गया doesn't mean that you square off your short position and start initiating long positions. You have to always mix and match with other technical indicators to make sure, because price is basically leading. So जितने भी आपके technical indicators जो भी हैं, they are basically derived from the price. Yeah, so whatever technical indicators that you see is basically derived from the price. So there is going to be a bit of a lag because most of these indicators they use close. So close आने तक there is going to be a bit of lag. Now we come on to our trend indicators. Again, RSI use करने के तरीके stochastics use करने का तरीका is the same. The only difference is that यहाँ पर there is a fast stochastic, there is a slow stochastics. अगर आपको पता हो तो it's percentage D, percentage K, and there is something called as a bullish crossover and a bearish crossover. So basically ये जो दो lines है, now I'm being very crude. I'm not explaining what those lines and all mean या कौन सा percentage K, कौन सा percentage B है. But then there is a fast indicator and then there is a slow indicator. So जैसे हम लोग के moving averages में होता है, when you get a long signal when a particular slow moving average or a fast moving average crosses the slow moving average. मतलब अगर आप 5 और 20 लेते हो, so 5 जैसे 20 के ऊपर जाता है तो कैसे एक long signal बनता है. So something similar आप RSI में भी कर सकते हो. The only difference is यहाँ पर आपको momentum turn होते हुए दिखाई देगा. Prices की बात यहाँ पर नहीं होती है when you're looking at the indicator. So for prices, if you see a bullish crossover, probably यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो there are two lines here. So one is blue and one is red. And when the blue line is the faster line, the red line is the slower one. And जब भी आपका blue line cross करता है red line को, that is when basically you are looking at bullish momentum buildup. But then in this scenario itself, you can see that that is not the case everywhere. So you have to mix and match it with other technical tools, other technical indicators to get a decent enough entry point or exit point. Then we come on to something called as MACD, moving average convergence divergence.
So अभी तक जो हम लोग ने RSI and stochastics cover किया है, if you have any queries anything then you can put in the chat box. so that we can take this. And secondly, like on the RSI side, it is like the ratio is 30 to 70, and on the stochastic side, that is 20 to 80.
Yeah.
And stochastics gives you just the momentum. It's a kind of like the momentum indicator, so it just gives you the view that how the market is forming or how this particular stock is forming. So अगर अभी तक किसी को RSI या statistics में कुछ queries है, you can put down. And also we have run the poll that whether you are using the indicators right in your strategy or not. So just poll it in the live chat section that is under the YouTube. So YouTube में अगर जो लोग attend कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे एक live chat section है, just click on the box and you can ask your queries, and simultaneously you can do the polling also.
Yeah. So MACD or MACD, as it is commonly known as, moving average convergence divergence. So the name itself suggests that it is basically the distance between two particular moving averages. Correct. Now again, because these are two moving averages, these are exponential moving averages. These are so these are basically exponential moving averages, and ये दोनों moving averages का difference is what you basically see as a MACD line. And then because it is only one line, there is another smoothened line which is basically a EMA of the difference between two moving averages. Now यहाँ पर हम लोगों ने 12 and 26 लिया because that is considered to be the default setting, but not necessary कि आप लोग 12 and 26 लें. So again you can fiddle around with the moving average periodicity and then come to probably one particular, or in this case two particular moving averages that work best for you. It can be a 5 and 20, it can be a 12 and 26, anything that you're comfortable with. उसका बेसिकली ये कन्वर्जेंस एंड डाइवर्जेंस देखता है. सो जैसे आप सबको पता होगा कि एक जो फास्टर मूविंग एवरेज है दैट रिएक्ट्स मच फास्टर टू द प्राइस चेंज. फास्टर EMA जो है दैट अभी फॉर एग्जांपल अ 5 day मूविंग एवरेज विल रिस्पॉन्ड टू द प्राइस चेंजेस मच फास्टर व्हेन कंपेयर्ड टू द 20 day और कंपेयर्ड टू द 50 day. सो यहाँ पर 12 day इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी द फास्टर मूविंग एवरेज. फास्टर मूविंग एवरेज का एक आपको ध्यान में रखना है कि द मूविंग एवरेज विद अ शॉर्टर टाइम फ्रेम, सॉरी द शॉर्टर पीरियोडिसिटी. सो 5, 10 and 20 में 5 is the fastest, 10 is comparatively fast but slower than 5, faster than 20. 20 is the slowest. Why? Because 20 will take time to respond to the current price change. 5 will respond faster to the current price change. 10 will respond faster than 20 but will respond slower than 10. So जब मैं फास्ट मूविंग एवरेज बोल रहा हूँ मतलब इट इज द शॉर्टर टाइम फ्रेम मूविंग एवरेज, एंड जब मैं स्लो बोल रहा हूँ इट इज द लार्जर टाइम फ्रेम मूविंग एवरेज. सो इसका कैलकुलेशन बेसिकली मैंने आपको ये बोल दिया, यू कैलकुलेट EMAs द एक्सपोनेंशियल मूविंग एवरेज. अगर आपको उसके बारे में जानना है यूट्यूब में अंडर लाइव वी हैव ऑल दोज रिकॉर्डेड सेशंस जो आप विच यू कैन गो थ्रू एंड अंडरस्टैंड हाउ EMA इज कैलकुलेटेड, व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन EMA एंड SMA. सो वहां पर आपको एक आइडिया मिल जाएगा एज टू व्हाई EMAs आर SMAs, या EMAs के पिटफॉल्स क्या है, SMAs के पिटफॉल क्या है, तो वो आप उसमें से समझ सकते हो. So moving average, convergence, divergence where we calculate two exponential moving averages, take out their difference and then basically calculate an average of the difference. So यहाँ पर MACD line जो है यहाँ पर हम लोगों ने calculate किया है with by taking the difference between a 12 day EMA and a 26 day EMA. एंड जो सिग्नल लाइन है विच इज जो हम लोगों ने इसमें भी देखा था कि स्टोकेस्टिक्स में भी था, इट इज बेसिकली स्टोकेस्टिक्स का एक एवरेज निकलता है, या MACD का भी हम लोग सिमिलर वे में एवरेज निकलते हैं 9 पीरियड का. सो 9 पीरियड का जब भी एवरेज निकलते हैं दैट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी द सिग्नल लाइन. I'll show you a practical application. अभी अगर यहाँ पर देखोगे, and then there are also histograms which basically is the difference between the signal line and the MACD line. So crossover मतलब whenever the faster moving average crosses below the slower moving average, आपका MACD line जो है वो turn होगा and then it will cross below the average of the MACD line. सो बेसिकली 1226 का आप MACD कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो एंड देन उसके डिफरेंस का 9 पीरियड का आप EMA कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो विच इज अ सिग्नल लाइन. सो व्हेनेवर अगर आप से एक प्राइस का एवरेज ले रहे हो या एक्सपोनेंशियल मूविंग एवरेज ले रहे हो एंड देन वो एक्सपोनेंशियल मूविंग एवरेज का आप सेकंड ऑर्डर एक्सपोनेंशियल मूविंग एवरेज ले रहे हो, you are adding a bit of delay to it, so that is something that you have to keep in mind. So ये जो 9 पीरियड का सिग्नल लाइन है that is basically slower than your 1226 का difference या MACD के line का difference. So whenever your MACD line goes below the signal line, that is yeah, crosses below the signal line, that is when you basically look for probable trend change or probable reversal in your current up move, and vice versa when you're looking at a down move. So ये जो signal है, ये एक down move के बाद your MACD line has actually crossed above the 9 period signal line. So मतलब यहाँ पर probable trend change है, यहाँ पर probable trend change है. Now because these are moving averages का inherent एक flaw है. So whenever the market is trending, your moving averages are trending. Whenever the market goes absolutely sideways, your moving averages are going to be flat. ऐसे टाइम पर क्या होता है कि जो आपका फास्ट मूविंग एवरेज है, प्राइस जो है वो उसके ऊपर नीचे कंटिन्यूसली होते रहता है. सो दिस इज अ फेज वेयर most of the trend indicators they tend to fail and give out false signals. एंड एज फार एज हिस्टोग्राम गोस, सो आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पर जैसे जैसे ये दोनों लाइंस के बीच का जो डिफरेंस है वो बढ़ता है, आपके हिस्टोग्राम के साइज भी बड़े होते हैं. एंड एज द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन दीज टू लाइंस इट डिक्रीजेस, आपका हिस्टोग्राम छोटा होता है. एंड द मोमेंट देयर इज अ बुलिश क्रॉसओवर, योर हिस्टोग्राम गोज अबाउट द जीरो लाइन. मतलब जो मोमेंटम है, सॉरी दिस आल्सो शोज काइंड ऑफ अ मोमेंटम थिंग, बिकॉज आपके एक चीज आपको ध्यान में रखनी है. सो व्हेन यू आर लुकिंग एट अ डिफरेंस ऑफ से 5 and 20, the speed at which the 5 changes is much higher, मतलब आपका momentum build-up है, means the stock is moving really fast. So the speed at which the faster moving average changes when compared to the slower moving average, it shows how fast your prices are moving. Just give me a second.
So till now, if anyone has a query, then they can directly put in the chat box, live chat section.
Yeah. So basically ये दो लाइंस का जो डिफरेंस है that is plotted as a histogram. And then again अगर आपको faster signals चाहिए, then you can reduce the periodicity of the exponential moving averages with which you calculate the MACD. So that was for RSI, stochastics and MACD. Now अगर किसी को कुछ query है, कुछ पूछना है, then this would be the right time. We'll just take a halt for 2 minutes and we'll continue from there.
So already we have showed about the RSI, about the stochastics, and about the MACD. Now we're going to cover the last topic, that is called your ADX. So अभी तक किसी और को like if you have any queries, then you can put in the chat box. But if you feel like that okay, this indicator should also get covered in the upcoming webinar, so you can just type in this live chat section. So there is one query that is in our YouTube channel, that what reflects the value in the right side, how we interpret
value in the right side.
So you are talking about like these values are for the Reliance Industries that the stock is trading. So you are talking about the MACD lines.
Could you be a bit more specific?
Yeah, Sundarji, if you can just type, if you can just keep it more detailed, so our research analyst, Mr. Karan Pai, will be able to answer it.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, what we'll do is we'll start on with explaining the ADX. So ADX is basically an indicator जो आपको बोलेगा कि आपके current trend में कितना strength है. So ADX के बारे में आपको एक चीज ध्यान में रखनी है कि whenever the ADX is moving higher, it is direction agnostic. So जब मैं बोलूँ direction agnostic, there can be instances where your prices are moving down and your ADX can move higher, because ADX is basically showing what is the strength in the trend. अगर आपका प्राइस ऊपर जा रहा है and your ADX is going higher, that means there is strength in your up move. अगर आपका प्राइस नीचे जा रहा है and your ADX is going higher, मतलब there is strength in the down move. अगर आपका प्राइस ऊपर जा रहा है, your ADX is falling, मतलब it is lacking strength. And vice versa. So अगर आपका ADX say is अगर आपका prices are say going down and your ADX is also going down, मतलब there is again a lack of strength in the down. So there is something called as a directional movement system. So directional movement system के दो tools होते हैं. One is a positive directional indicator and another one is a negative directional indicator. सो अगर आप कैलकुलेशंस देखोगे, इट इज नथिंग बट द जस्ट अ मिनट, yeah, so it is nothing but the current high minus the current low, and if positive or greater than the current high minus the previous high, else it is zero. एंड बेसिकली यहाँ पर आप एक ट्रू रेंज भी इसका कैलकुलेट करोगे. सो इट इज सो ट्रू रेंज कैलकुलेट करने के तीन तरीके हैं. सो यू फाइंड द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द करंट हाई एंड द करंट लो, or you find the difference between the absolute difference between the current high and the previous close, or you find the absolute difference between the current low and the previous close. Again, इसके आपके rigmarole में you don't need to get into the rigmarole of all these things. So once you have found out the positive DI and the negative DI values, you just add a smoothing effect to it. So smoothing आप कैसे करोगे? By averaging the values. Normally it is used as normally the factor that is used to smoothen it is 14 days, so it is basically 14 days SMA for the DM, matlab directional movement, positive or negative. And then you take the absolute values of the differences, divide by the sum of the differences, and that is how you come to ADX. ADX is basically another smoothened moving average, 14 period moving average of the DMI. The formula might seem confusing, but then when you start looking at the charts, when you start looking at the practical aspect of it, so यहाँ पर there are three lines that you can see. I'll just go to visibility and tell you sorry, yeah. So एक आपका ADX line है, which for my convenience I'll put it as black. Then you have a blue and sort of like an orange shade line, which is basically your positive DI and negative DI. करेक्ट. सो यहाँ पर अगर आप ADX देखो, इट इज जस्ट आइदर मूविंग हाई और लो. उसका बाकी लाइन से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. बाकी लाइंस आपको क्या बताएंगे? सो एक आपका पॉजिटिव DI हुआ, मतलब पॉजिटिव डायरेक्शन हुआ, एंड नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन हुआ. So if your positive direction is going higher and your negative direction is coming lower and they intersect each other or they cross each other, so this kind of situation is considered to be bullish. So मतलब आपका positive momentum या positive trend जो है that is ongoing, या आपका जो bullish trend है that is ongoing. Now in this situation अगर आप देख सकते हो तो those lines they were kind of merging together and at the same time your ADX line was falling, मतलब there was a lack of strength in the trend. Now ऑब्जर्व दिस. सो यहाँ से अगर आप देखो 30 सितंबर 2024 से लेके 21 नवंबर 2024 का जो फॉल था, उसमें दी ADX was consistently moving higher, मतलब there was a strength build up in your down move. Now I'll just quickly scroll back and see if there are instances where the classic. So अगर आप यहाँ पर देखो, ever since December 2023 all the way to March 2024, prices were going higher and your ADX was also consistently going higher. मतलब there was a strength in the trend. It was so ADX line is basically direction agnostic. जब मैं बोलूँ direction agnostic, मतलब अगर आपका ADX line ऊपर जा रहा है does not mean that it is bullish, and अगर नीचे जा रहा है does not mean it is bearish. It just shows you whether there is strength in your up move, whether there is strength in your down move. So आपका ऐसे भी सिनेरियो हो सकता है जहां पर prices are going down but your ADX is moving higher, मतलब it is showing strength in the down move.
So the query of the Sundar was this: what reflects the value in the right side, how we interpret, and the value of the MACD. तो MACD का जो indicator है, then how we can interpret the movements of the market.
Okay.
So if you can explain it, how to interpret it.
So सुंदर जी, जैसे मैंने बोला कि आई होप हिंदी इज फाइन. सो सुंदर जी, जैसे मैंने आपको बोला कि MACD का कैलकुलेशन का जो बेसिक है दैट इज बेसिकली अ मूविंग एवरेज. सो जब भी आप देख रहे हो कि अभी वैल्यू ऑन द राइट साइड, आई एम अज्यूमिंग यू आर लुकिंग एट दीज थिंग्स. सो दिस अगेन देयर इज अ बाउंड हियर, बट देन उतना वो स्ट्रिक्टली जो है MACD में फॉलो होता नहीं है. बट देन जस्ट सो दैट यू नो, बेसिक इसका अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऐसा है कि अगर आपका इट्स जस्ट लाइक मूविंग एवरेजेस. सो अगर आपका फास्टर पीरियड इज क्रॉसिंग बिलो द लॉन्गर पीरियड, इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज बेरिश. अगर आपका अगेन दिस इज जस्ट फॉर एजुकेशनल पर्पस, एंड अगर आप कुछ भी इन चीज़ों के साथ अगर फिडल अराउंड कर रहे हो, देन मेक श्योर यू हैव द concept very clear, you understand the mathematical part of this very clearly. So we have shared the PDF with you, and उसमें जो है हम लोगों ने formulas वगैरह सब बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से explain किए हैं. यहाँ पर there is time constraint, so we cannot dig deep into the formulas, and if we dig too deep into the formulas, it will end up being confusing. सो बेसिक आपको एक ही देखना है कि अगर आपके बाकी सारे टूल्स आपको बता रहे हैं कि पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक और से पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स इज आइदर ओवरबॉट ओवरसोल्ड, सो देन यू जस्ट लुक एट व्हाट द एमएसीडी इज डूइंग. MACD will tell you ki the trend is probably turning, and the difference between the MACD and the signal line, if it is going higher matlab there is momentum build up, and if it is going lower matlab there is momentum build up on the bearish side. So that is how you interpret. So normally we look for crossovers in MACD. Crossover मतलब ये scenario जो है that is considered as a bullish crossover. ये scenario जो है sorry this is considered as a bearish crossover. ये scenario जो है this is considered as a bullish crossover, bearish, bullish. So basically when your MACD line crosses above or below the signal line, that is when you get signals in MACD.
So MACD line cross above zero line and it shows some value. How it help us?
So MACD line अगर zero line के ऊपर जा रहा है मतलब there is some sort of momentum build up, so that is also when you can actually start considering looking at the histograms. अगर आपके histograms के sizes जो है वो बढ़ रहे हैं मतलब there is also momentum in the up move.
Now there is a last query that is I am a day trader and I use support and resistance level to enter and exit the trade. I give less weightage to indicators on a 1 minute candle to enhance my conviction. Which one is better, RSI or stochastics? So I would like to answer this. Karan, you can add on in fact, but see, Shanos, there's like talking about like as you'll be the scalp trader, even I am the also the scalp trader. Like I just enter into the market in a minute and I look at the support and resistance or some of the important indicators, and then I take my decisions. Now in market there are near about 134 indicators are there, so it will be depending upon you that okay which indicator has done the back testing for you and it is giving you the clear results, whether it's a RSI, stochastics, MACD, moving average, or Bollinger Bands if I talk about, or like let's say with the Fibonacci also. So it's totally depend upon you. Rather we recommending you that okay RSI is better or stochastics better. You can just see the back testing that okay if you are trading in any kind of like the index or the Nifty 50 or the Bank Nifty, whether this is giving me the signal of the buy or sell. So what I do for myself, this is just for the education purpose. So I do for myself that is means I use the RSI, I use the directly this moving average crossover, followed by the Bollinger trend, followed by the Bollinger bands, in fact, and the 1 minute charts. 1 minute charts to 5 minute charts is quite easily I can predict the market that how it is the movement, how the movements will going to come actually. Not predict in the sense, but how the movements, whether it will be the sell or buy, how the candles are forming, because somehow like the candles is something is very much important to know. So I compare with the two charts, 1 minute and the 5 minutes, and then I take the decision. So this is for the education purpose. Request you to please do not take the advice on this. But if you are doing the such kind of analysis, then I request you have to do your back testing, and then you can follow that okay which things are working for you. Like for example, like for the current like the this MACD or this like the Bollinger Bands is helping like him a lot like to predict the market, but it's totally depend upon the person to person.
So that's a very good thing कि आप price action use करते हो before everything, because see prices are probably the most quickest actions is what I would say, because ये आपके जितने भी indicators है they always have a lag. Why? Because they are all based on the price. So अगर आपका एक price particular direction में move करना start करेगा, your moving average will take time because वो particular periodicity के close तक it has to wait. Same thing with RSI, same thing with stochastics, because सब में it has to wait for the close price. So आपको प्राइस यहाँ पर दिख जाएगा कि इट इज ब्रेकिंग बिलो द सपोर्ट, बट आपको इंडिकेटर आने में इट विल टेक अनदर 5 मिनट्स इफ यू आर यूजिंग अ 5 मिनट्स चार्ट. इट विल टेक अनदर डे इफ यू आर यूजिंग अ डेली चार्ट. दो टेक्निकल एनालिसिस इज वेरी ग्रैन्युलर, बट जो पिटफॉल्स हैं सर्टन चीजों के जैसे टेक्निकल इंडिकेटर्स के ऑफ इट हैविंग अ लैग, इट ऑलवेज रिमेन्स. सेम थिंग विद एसएमए. अगर आप ड्रॉप ऑफ इफेक्ट देखोगे एसएमए का, whether you're using it on a daily chart or whether you're using it on a 5 minute chart, that pitfall of the drop off effect or the prices reacting slowly, it is always there. No matter what you do, you cannot get rid of it. So एक चीज आपको मैं बोलूंगा कि टेक्निकल इंडिकेटर्स जो है दे शुड ओनली बी यूज्ड फॉर कंफर्मेशन एंड नॉट एज अ स्टैंड अलोन ट्रेडिंग डिसीजन. So that is something that I have religiously followed and it has worked well for me. अभी फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पर मुझे दिख रहा है कि there was a gap down and I just draw a simple trend line. यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे ये ट्रेंड लाइन के नीचे चला गया, बट यहाँ पर आपको रिएक्शन आने के लिए सी यू हैव टू वेट फॉर द नेक्स्ट डे. Why यहाँ पर the prices did drop for 2 days, but then it had to wait for the close to calculate the next day's indicator value. And only then you can say that okay अभी यहाँ पर मुझे confirmation आ गया कि breakdown आ गया. But then price action will always lead no matter what. And technical indicators अगर मैं उसको strictly बोलूँ तो it should be always used with a pinch of salt. It should be always used to confirm your biases. When I say confirm your biases, you should not curve fit it, or you should not read it in a way where people try to confirm their bias कि मतलब say for example मैंने यहाँ पर 1226 का डाला and यहाँ पर मुझे नहीं मिल रहा है कि confirmation है, you reduce the periodicity or you change the periodicity, आप उसके parameters change कर दो. It should not be used to fixate on a particular view. So that is something I would recommend. And जैसे किसी ने पूछा था कि RSI and stochastics का, so for me personally stochastics has worked very well as compared to RSI, but then again it might be a personal bias, it might be the way I look at charts.
Exactly. So that's what means I would like to suggest that you can do your own back testing and you can feel like that okay, you can see that okay, which indicator is working for you or giving you the means proper indicator indication, and that you can take the proper informed decision. So if you have any queries, anything, then we'll just wait for 30 seconds or so and we'll take up this. So we have covered with the RSI, MACD, and about the stochastics and ADX. So four indicators, popular indicators, I would say that we have covered it. Again, next week we'll be having the session at 2:30 p.m. and we'll be taking some more important indicators of this. So with this, we'd like to end our session here, and we'd like to thanks to all our audiences for participating it, and was having the curious to know about like how the indicators works. So thank you so much, Karan, and thank you to all our participants for attending today's session. We'll see you on Monday for this new sessions that is on the market outlook and the index strategy. And do follow and like the channel so that you can get the notification for our upcoming sessions.